All right, so in the last lesson, we created this project here. I'm just going to show you how to open it. When you open your Unreal editor by clicking the Unreal button, or you go to Epic Games, you'll be approached with this. Go ahead and double click this BP01 or whatever you decided to name your project in the last tutorial. All right, so here we are. And what I'd like to start off with is this intro level they gave us is a little bit busy. So I'm going to go up to the top and go to File, New Level. And I'm just going to select Basic. And this will give us a nice little clean level to work from. And again, practice your movement controls holding Alt or Option on Mac. Scroll in and out. Select your starter. This is where your player actually starts when your game begins. So like if I press play here and I walk around, that's actually the player start point that I'm beginning with, is something like this. I'm flying around with. I'm using the WASD keys to fly around. I'm going to hit Escape to stop that. All right, let's save this, do File, and then we're going to do Save Current Level. And I usually call this Test Bed, and this is usually where I sort of test out a game where I start to build things, and we'll just save this in the Content folder. And to save on space or hard drive stuff on your computer or project, you could actually just delete this untitled by right-clicking and going to Delete, or hitting the Delete key on PC, or I think Command Delete on a Mac. All right, so I'm going to force delete this because we don't need it, and it should build in a moment. And it's going through all these processes. Okay. And forgive me if you have a kind of a basic computer, because, and we've been using Unreal for a lot of the lectures and stuff. So this is going to be a little heavy on your computer. All right. So a couple things that are going on here. When I press play, and like I mentioned before, I'm moving around. There are controls or scripts or code or blueprints that are allowing me to control or move around this way. And what we're going to do is little by little is we're going to learn how to modify the pre-existing code that goes in the engine or the blueprints even. But for now, let's go ahead and just do everything in something called the level blueprint. So if we go up the top here, and you can see it says list of world blueprints available, and we hit on open level blueprint. And what I'm going to do is grab testbed and just dock it inside of my scene. This is the testbed blueprint. So blueprinting is a visual scripting language. So you could do things like make things trigger, stuff like that. I'm going to select this event tick, hit F to focus. Now, the way that you kind of get around in here is you can right click with your mouse and you can pan. You could scroll in and out with your wheel to zoom. And so if you're used to, which I thought was pretty interesting, a lot of my newer students don't even have a mouse. They don't use it because everything's done on tablet. You're going to have to get a good 3-button mouse. So anyway, as I mentioned, this blueprint here can be used to script or create functionality in the level. So for example, say we want our character to walk up to a light and it turns on, but we're going to do something very basic where we're just going to print something to the output. And that we'll use the blueprint system to do this. And this is pretty important because when you're doing code and you need to test things, you'll do a lot of debugging or printing this way. All right, so a couple things that are going on here is the first node they give you is event begin play and event tick. Now, if you've done a bunch of other Unity stuff with me in the past, you'll probably recognize or realize that this is similar to on start function. So this runs once at the very beginning that this level is called. Event tick is kind of like on update, and this runs every frame. All right, so let's start off by just having it play once. So I'm going to go ahead and left click and hold on this little execute pin here and then drop this off to drop a node. I'm just going to type print. And what do I want to print? I could print text, but what I really want to do is a string, which is just a series of letters. And it already has by default hello. So let's go ahead and you see there's a question mark here. It says this is dirty. It needs to be recompiled. So when you compile that, you click that, it'll compile your level. And then you could also just do here file and then just do save all. And then that'll get rid of the asterisks that are next to it here. Now what's going to happen is check out the left-hand corner here. When I go ahead and press play, you'll see the word hello pops up here. So you can see that. And it's there momentarily. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape and go back to my test bed here. And if I expand this a little bit, you can see that it has some options here. It says duration is 2 seconds. So if I make this 10 seconds and I make the text color, I don't know, purple or pink or something, this is a great way of logging bugs or errors for people when they're essentially playing your game or whatever. They could see little, for designers or something, they can see little things or messages that you need to send them. So if I press play, you can see it's hello. And actually notice I didn't save it and I didn't change the text color. Here, let's make sure that's saved. There we go. And I'm going to hit OK here and then compile and then Command S to save, Control S to save, and then I'm going to press play. It should be pink now. And there is hello, and it's pink. And I think that's pretty good for now. You figured out how to open blueprints, and moving forward, we'll take a look at, using obviously the blueprint system to create more gameplay functionality. All right, that's it.